Hello and welcome to Star Trek character creation with Zeke. Oh, I'm so excited. We have like half of the crew already done and I just want to get to doing it. I'm so excited.
I just noticed that graphic. Man, is it cool.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, we had some there's an even cooler one for the actual game. It's like full L cars. It's amazing. You'll love it.
excellent.
But for those of you that are not aware, we are right now building characters for a game of Star Trek Adventures, this game by Modifius. Here's a cool book. They were rad enough to send all of the players the player's handbook for this game, so thank you, Modifius.
Say
Um,
what? We got these for free?
yes, you did, Zeke. Don't you remember it
Woohoo!
just magically appeared at your house?
No, I honestly I thought you got it for me.
No, no,
Okay,
they sent them. Yeah.
that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, no, they're great. They're RPG people who support the people playing their games are like my favorite type of people. But yeah, we're starting the mini series on Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, and I am so hype and also nervous, but mostly hype. And one of the cool things about Star Trek Adventures is that you get to build your character and you just like narrate their whole life. But first, Zeke, let's narrate your life and tell us when you explored Star Trek and why you love it, and just go on about Star Trek. I'm really excited.
I've actually never watched any Star Trek.
Oh,
I
please.
don't know why I'm here. No,
I'm gonna turn off this stream. Goodbye, everybody.
no, honestly, my love of Star Trek started with. I'm sure a lot of people around my age started with the Next Generation, and how I started was I want to say it was on every day after school.
Mm-hmm.
It would be on like not a local station. It would be like because we get like Denver 2, Denver Channel 2, like up here in Montana,
Oh
and
gosh,
it would
Montana.
be on the weekends.
Was it
Uh,
like TBS or something? I don't remember, but there was one station that was always playing Star Trek, like all the time.
yeah. TBS USA, one
One
of those
one of
stations.
those, not local, but like everyone had it anyway. Stations. I feel you.
Yeah.
I watched Voyager on that station.
Yep. And it was in by the time I had watched it, I was already because it came out in like 91, right? Or 90,
TNG.
yeah, 94
I'm really bad with dates. Let me Google. I can do this.
or TNT, maybe with TNT.
Star Trek: The Next Generation started in 1987
Whoa, shit. Okay.
and it ended in 1994.
Okay. Oh, that's 1994 is when it ended. That's why I know
Yeah.
that. Okay. So I started watching it in the afternoons after it was reruns. Like I didn't watch
Hmm.
any of the original running of it. And it was on like every day at like 3 p.m. or something like that. And I would watch it and it was out of order. They would never play it like in the right order. So I'd watch it here and there. And I really started to fall in love with it because it wasn't because I had heard of Star Wars and I'd watched Star Wars, and all that kind of stuff. But Star Trek was a continuing mission, and it was the military vibe of it
Hmm.
really got me that like if we started to explore space, that's kind of probably how we do it, And I wanted to be in Starfleet. I wanted to be I want to do all the positions. Like every episode showed a different
I
like
also want to do all the positions, Zeke. You said it. I couldn't not do it. Like you actually just said it. How am I supposed to resist?
No,
Okay.
I know I wouldn't either. I don't blame you.
Okay, but yeah, no, I definitely agree
Sorry, I
that
just unplugged my
one of the
headphones.
things that I mean, I love Star Wars, but Star Wars is very long ago in a galaxy far, far away. Star Trek is an extension of, and they take the universe that we have right now and they extrapolate from that 300 years 400 years into the future. And it's
Mm-hmm.
really cool to, instead of like this space fantasy that Star Wars is, Star Trek is more like this could be real.
Right.
And it's really interesting to see because some of the technology from Star Trek has actually like come back into the present day, like iPads. Pads are from Star Trek. Like
Just gonna say that they predicted a whole bunch of
they
stuff.
predicted so much technology. Like people
Yeah.
are working on tricorders. Like that's a thing that they actually want to do. Like a very small, succinct medical diagnostic tool. Like that's
Mhm.
yes, Star Trek predicted so much. And although we make fun of it for like isolinear chips and like warp core, like whatever, a lot of the technology and the science of Star Trek, when they're not just bullshitting for the heck of it, like a lot of it is based off of like actual scientific stuff from the 1980s,
Yeah.
so
Theories.
they tried. I mean, there's a lot of also the like these characters are a little like super heroic in that they can do things that actually can't be done because it's still sci-fi.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, that I think that's what sold me on Star Trek personally, and being on Star Trek is like a dream of mine. So this show, I'm so excited that that's something that we can do.
Mhm.
And
And also, like, one of the things about, like, there was a saying in the acting world that everybody does Star Trek. So if you watch any series at length, you'll see hugely famous people like being aliens or dignitaries, admirals, and stuff like that within the Star Trek universe, because that was one of the things is like, can't find work. Star Trek probably
I
could
was
use you.
watching an episode of Deep Space Nine, and I think that like one of the not the Jem'Hadar, but the Vorta. One of the Vorta was some like rock and roller. I don't remember who it was, but I was just like, wait a second, I recognize that voice, even though you're all done up like an alien. It was great. It was really,
No,
really good.
I love going back and watching old episodes and going like, holy shit, you're super famous now.
Iggy Pop. Yeah,
This
it
is
was
like,
Iggy Pop. Yeah.
this is where you got your start or like kept your job going, like you got a Star Trek gig. Like
Mm.
I remember I saw fucking Jason Alexander
Oh
um
yeah, yeah, yeah,
cr-
yeah.
from
Oh,
Seinfeld.
and Wallace Shawn was
The
the
Grand
Ferengi,
Nagus.
yeah, Grand Nagus Zek.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, so good.
Uh,
But anyway, let's actually like start building a
yeah,
character
sorry,
because
sorry.
no, it's great. We can
Talk
talk
about it all
about this
day.
so long. But one of the cool things about there's two ways to build a character in Star Trek Adventures. One of the ways is to kind of build as you go during the session, but my preferred way and the way that we're doing it for everyone is a life path building. It's very Burning Wheel in that you build your character along their like life. So you start with where they were born, what species they are, and then you go on through like Starfleet Academy, some of their career like events. And so it's basically building your backstory as we build your character and get your stats. So the first step is obviously choosing your species. So
Now, this is the question I wanted to pose to you because I kind of everybody has a different style, and everybody like the GM probably kind of wants to direct it in a certain way. But would you rather I rolled for everything, because I'm cool with that, or would you rather I like discussed it and then just
the
picked
way
one?
we've been doing it is that the people, Holly and Pumpkinberry, came in with like a vague idea of what they wanted. So they've been picking what they wanted, and then I think they rolled randomly for the events in their career.
Sure.
But I feel like if you have a good idea of something that you want in your character, because it's such a short series, there's not a lot of time to like discover that as we go.
Okay.
So if you already have an idea that you want to build off of, picking your character is really good. I also specifically said in our little chat that I really want, if you wanted to be an alien, I want there to be a really good reason, and I want you to be alien in a way that Star Trek kind of elides a lot of the time. So I'm not against it. We have 2 humans so far, and I think that there's always the Spock rule of like mostly humans and then 1 alien. So I'm totally okay with it, but I really want there to be a reason why your character is not human.
That is crazy. That I honestly thought, like, because usually when people start up a new RPG, everybody wants to be like the weirdest thing possible.
No,
We have two humans.
2 humans, yeah.
Whoa,
They
that's
were just
fucking crazy.
Yeah, they were totally like, "Yep, I'm human," and I'm like, "Really?" No, I totally expected the same thing, that everyone would be like, "I want to be a Klingon, and I don't care that there's no Klingons in this book. I'm gonna do it anyway."
Yeah, I want to be a half Vulcan, quarter Bajoran, quarter Klingon.
Yeah, no. So
Cool.
I think that what we've been doing is mostly like building by choice and not by randomosity. But like, if you want to go all random, we can figure that shit out. I'm down.
Well, okay. I did have a
Okay.
race in mind,
Okay.
and not because I have a crush on Counselor Troy or anything, which I do,
Everyone
but
does. Everyone does.
but I would love to try to do a Betazoid.
Okay. So let's take a look at Betazoid. So we're doing next generation era, so it's totally good to be Betazoid. The one thing with Betazoids is that they are telepathic or empathetic. So I really want to make sure, like, if you're picking Betazoid, like, this is a important part of your character. So like, if you have to, like, I'm gonna use it for you and against you in both directions. Like, I want to make sure, like, you're not just a human who, like, every once in a while is like, oh, I'm gonna read your mind. Like, that's a very important tenet of your character. So if you are like really wanting to dig into that, also Betazoids, they're really cool because they're like one of the least militaristic of all of like Star Trek societies. I was actually playing the Star Trek mod for Stellaris, and they're like right next to Cardassia and Bajor, and they're just like, yeah, whatever, we don't really, it's fine, we're friends with everybody. And yet they could read people's minds. They could do so much with that like ability, and yet they're just like, it's fine. Fucking Loxana Troy. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh, Picard. Your thoughts are, ooh.
Oh, you should see her in Deep Space Nine. She has a ton of episodes in Deep Space Nine. I recently watched it all, so it's very fresh in my memory. Some of them are good, and some of them are really not.
She's really hit and miss for me. I've seen the entire series of Next Generation, DS9, Voyager. I've versed in them, but DS9 and Voyager I haven't watched.
There's no Betazoids on Voyager.
Probably like I want to say like 6 years.
Yeah, like I've been watching a few TNG episodes here and there to prep for this, but I just watched all of Deep Space Nine in the last few months.
I just watched all of TNG in the last 3 months.
There you go. Perfect. So, yes, Betazoid. I say that's a good thing. So, if you go ahead and fill out your species as Betazoid, each of the species that you can play gives you different attributes. For Betazoid, you will gain +1 insight, +1 presence, and +1 reason. So you'll be at 8 on all of those.
Okay.
And I'll give a little blurb for anyone in chat. Insight, presence, and reason. Yeah. So for anyone in chat, the Betazoid blurb in the book is, the peaceful Betazoid people hail from the idyllic, verdant world Betazed. The world is a valued member of the Federation, and its people can be found across Federation space, including Starfleet. Betazoids appear almost identical to humans, but differ in one major way. They are naturally telepathic, developing mental abilities during adolescence. The potency of this ability varies between individuals, but it has resulted in a culture where honesty and directness are fundamental. It's difficult to keep secrets when everyone around you can read minds. So you're a Betazoid as a species. You also get the Betazoid trait. So that's like traits can be used in different like conflicts and rolling, either as a positive or a negative. So Betazoid as a trait could work for you or it could work against you. So the trait is all Betazoids are telepathic to varying degrees, and even when not actively using their abilities, they are highly perceptive of others around them, but also highly sensitive to telepathic disturbances and mental assaults. They have little familiarity with lies and deception due to their open culture and ability to read the thoughts and emotions of others. As they are sensitive to the minds of other living beings, they tend not to be comfortable around animals for fear of losing themselves in the minds of wild creatures. So one way
Which is
that
so weird to think about. Like, hey, do you want to go horseback riding?
no,
Mm-mm.
no,
Mm-mm.
exactly.
No, that horse gets scared. It's gonna scare me, and everything's gonna go shitty.
Yeah, but so one of the ways that being a Betazoid could work for you is if someone is trying to deceive you. But one of the ways that it could work against you is the fact that you are, as a culture, like very open and trusting because you don't expect people to come at you with deception because all Betazoids are like open because they can read your mind. So
Yeah,
why would you?
lying is not a thing on Beta Z.
Yes. So you'll also receive one of the two talents that a Betazoid can get. So you can either choose Empath or Telepath. So if you're full Betazoid, so you can choose either of them.
Right.
Troy was only half, which is why she only got access to the Empath talent.
Oh, right. Let me see here.
So this is just basically like how strong are your mental telepathic abilities? Are they kind of just more of a backpedal thing? You don't really rely on them. It's mostly just like a feeling, an emotional feeling, or are they very strong? In which case you can sense their actual thoughts.
Let's see. So empath is feelings. Telepath is basic communication.
Yes, so empath, you can sense the emotions of most living beings nearby and can communicate telepathically with other empaths and telepaths, as well as with those with whom you are extremely familiar, like how Troy and Riker could sometimes have communications. You cannot choose. You cannot choose not to sense the emotions of those nearby, except for those who are resistant to telepathy. So you're always sensing these people's emotions. It may be really difficult for you if the bridge is a stressful situation because you're just going to be feeling all of that. It may require effort and a task to pick out the emotions of a specific individual or in a crowd, or to block out the emotions of those nearby. So if you were in like a command situation and you're an empath and it was like really stressful, I might say, before you can do anything, I need you to roll to resist this chaos of emotions that's surrounding you, because you're an empath.
Well, if I'm going on the command path, I think telepath would be a better fit because then the emotional,
it won't be as overwhelming for you.
Exactly.
So,
and also it'll help in negotiations.
Yeah. So telepath for chat, it's you can sense the thoughts and emotions of most living beings nearby and can communicate telepathically with other empaths and telepaths, as well as those with whom you're extremely familiar. Surface thoughts are whatever a creature is thinking about at that precise moment. The character cannot choose not to sense the emotions or read the thoughts of those nearby, except for those who are resistant. So it's a very similar thing, except for instead of just emotions, you can get those surface thoughts. Unwilling targets can resist with an opposed task. So if you're like in a diplomatic situation and they're trying to resist you, that's something that we could roll for.
Yeah.
So you go ahead and add the talent under talents at the bottom. Talent telepath. This is going to be rad.
Well, that's not a trait. That's a talent.
It's a talent, yes.
Okay. Now, I want this to work. I want it to fit in. I don't want there to be too many captains and not enough ensigns or whatever the heck.
So right now we have Holly built a character who is just out of the academy on the command track. So it would be very common for this person to be like a helm, or for them to be like at a lower, like second or third in command.
So she's an
she's an ambitious but ensign? Just out of the academy. I think that because she chose to go to like an extra 2 years, she's a lieutenant junior grade. And then we have Pumpkinberry, who is engineering, and she's a veteran. So she would be either con, which is where the data sat on the bridge, like the ops position, or head of engineering. and that will be like depending on what we as a crew need. I think we're mostly going with a bridge staff, it looks like right now, so she's probably going to be sitting in the position that Data would have been in on TNG.
Sure.
So that's
like
what we have so far. Yeah, operations.
Okay. So there is room for like a captain.
There is room for a captain if you would like to be that. There's also room for like chief medical. Counselor Troy is on the bridge a lot, so if you wanted to do some like weird counselor thing, there's room for a number one, second in command. There's room for head of security or tactical. So yes, you could be a captain, but if you didn't want to, there's also room for other things.
Well, depending on what, because DJ Knight hasn't rolled up, right?
No, he hasn't. But he's doing it right before the show on Monday because that's his only time. So, like, he's gonna get whatever fits, and the rest of you guys are gonna be the core crew. So I definitely think that if you want to be a captain, now is the time. Just say it. Do the thing.
I'll take the big chair.
Do it. All right.
I'll take the big chair.
Captain Zeke. All right. So we'll do that later. You just got your species. And now, secondly, after you choose your species, we get to choose your upbringing. So this is like where you were raised. No, environment. So regardless of your species, Starfleet officers come from many places across many worlds. So you can either roll for this or you can choose it. The different choices are homeworld, so that would mean you were born on Betazoid. A busy colony, so that's like the culture's oldest or most prosperous colonies. I don't know enough about Betazoids to know if they have colonies. I don't think they really do, but like that's something you could be on someone else's busy colony, like Mars or Luna. An isolated colony, which is like a Vulcan monastery. A frontier colony, so that means like you're living on an asteroid somewhere out in the middle of nowhere. A starship or star base, or another species' world. So that would be like if you were a Betazoid but grew up on Earth or something.
Well, let's let the dice do the talking.
Okay, so roll 1d6.
Sounds good. 3, so I am isolated colony. Ooh,
okay,
that's what I was
so
raised.
this character comes from a colony that is isolated from the broader galactic society. Worlds like the Vulcan monastery on Pajem use the vast distances between star systems as an opportunity for contemplative isolation, while others are settled because they present unique research opportunities. The cultures of these colonies tend to focus on learning and introspection. So you gain a single value at this step. So values are short phrases that kind of succinctly state like things about your character. So example values would be like most comfortable in a crowd, no stranger to violence, serving Starfleet is family tradition. Very short phrases that kind of say what your character is about. So this one is reflecting of your upbringing in an isolated colony. So you pick whatever you like, a short phrase that that you got from growing up on an isolated colony. This would be actually really interesting because as a telepath, you're growing up more in isolation, so you might not be as accustomed to large crowds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're growing up, say, in a small town in Montana.
It's a big town in Montana.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Okay, and these, I'm sorry, this is
it's a value. So
okay, values. Okay.
Yeah, it's right under discipline.
How about since I come from an isolated place and it's like something like, and you want me to like pick these all now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna get 4 different values through the character creation, so like you can come back to this and change it up a little bit.
So I want the value, since I come from an isolated colony, something like you can make a home anywhere.
Okay.
Something like that. Like,
yeah, you can just put that in right now, and if you think of a better way to phrase it later, you can change it up.
How about just home is where you make it?
Okay, perfect.
For now.
So you go ahead and type that in under values.
Okay.
And then you will also get an attribute from growing up in an isolated colony. You can choose to advance either reason or insight by 1.
Let's see.
So we didn't actually go over this, but let me go ahead and for chat. The different attributes are control, which is about the character controlling themselves. It covers precision, accuracy, and careful timing. Daring, which is when a character reacts to a new situation without doubt, hesitation, or caution. It relies on gut instinct and quick reflexes. Fitness is about enduring hardship and employing force. Insight is about understanding people and their feelings and being open to different ideas and ways of thinking. Presence is about the power of personality and the ability to command attention or respect. And reason is about logic and meticulous analysis. So you can choose to advance either reason or insight.
Let's go insight.
Okay, that's good for a Betazoid. And then you will get a discipline. You can choose one of either engineering, science, or medicine to advance +1.
And where's that on the character sheet?
It's disciplines. It's right under attributes. So you start at 1.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So you gain +1 to either engineering, science, or medicine.
Let's do.
And we already have someone who's really good at engineering.
Let's do medicine then.
Okay, so you'd have 2 in medicine.
Yep.
And our next step after we get your home world is your upbringing. So the nature of a person's family and their surroundings as they grew up can have a massive impact on them, and whether they accept it or rebel against it, it will shape the rest of their lives. So we also have 6 choices for upbringing. You can choose or roll for either Starfleet, a business or trade upbringing. So that would be a family might have connections on countless worlds, overseeing and directing grand business endeavors. You can be agricultural or rural. So that would be surrounded more by nature than people. You can choose science and technology. So that would be your character's home was filled with the potential of science and cutting edge developments. You can choose artistic and creative. The character's life was filled with arts and creativity. Or diplomacy and politics. The character has been exposed to the complexities of political thought and the nuances of diplomacy since they were young.
All right, let's see what it's gonna be.
Okay. A 5. So that's artistic and creative.
Interesting. Okay.
So the character's life is filled with arts and creativity. They are exposed to the great works of many cultures and given every opportunity to express themselves. So you can either have accepted this upbringing or rebelled against it. So if you accepted this upbringing, you develop a greater understanding of emotion and communication. If you rebelled against it, you're more inclined to action than expression.
Both sound good. Can I have both?
No, it's one or the other. You either accepted your upbringing or you rebelled against it. You can't have done both.
I'm going to rebel.
Okay, so this character is more inclined to action than expression, so you increase your daring by 1.
Of course.
And your fitness by 2.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're running all over the place on this frontier colony.
Yeah.
Or isolated colony. Oh, and did we put, upbringing, we'll put artistic and creative up at the top.
Yep.
Okay, and then you also gain a discipline and focus. So the character's ease with creativity and self-expression lend themselves to many pursuits, allowing them to increase one of either command, engineering, or science.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
So you can increase one of either command, engineering, or science. I would recommend if you're going to be a captain, putting something in command.
Oh, yeah. Oh, of course.
So you already have medicine too, so you can.
Yeah.
Are you going to up command by 1?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and then you also get a focus. So this is the first time we're doing focuses. It's basically taking these disciplines and making things that are more specific. So examples of focuses that could come from an artistic and creative upbringing are botany, cultural studies, holo programming, linguistics, music, observation, persuasion, and psychology. So you choose one of those or make up one of your own. And that would go under focuses, which is on the
let's
right.
see here.
Yeah, we're on page 115 right now.
Okay, so diplomacy is an actual upbringing, so I can't pick diplomacy.
I mean, you'd have to explain to me how your artistic and creative rebellious nature gave you diplomacy, because I'm not seeing it. But if you could try and persuade me, but maybe persuasion is more your speed.
Yeah, you make a good point. Let's do persuasion.
Okay, so focus is persuasion, and you'll also gain a single talent. So if we go to page 135. Blah, blah, blah. The choices for talents, I've had it that you can only choose from the general talents list on your first talent, because you're not in command or con or anything. So you have a choice of either bold, cautious, collaboration, constantly watching, dauntless, personal effects, studious, technical expertise, or tough.
Okay, let's do...
and this would give you game advantage in some specific circumstances.
Yeah, this is technical stuff. Like it would reduce the difficulty by 1, or it would add the dice or something like that.
Yes.
Did a lot of people take bold?
No one's taken bold.
Bold.
Okay,
That's me.
so
I'm bold and direct.
For chat, you go ahead and put this under your talents. You must choose a single discipline when you select this talent. So whenever you attempt a task with that discipline and you buy 1 or more d20s by adding to threat, which you can either buy by using a momentum point or by adding to threat. When you add to threat, it allows me at a certain point to be like, okay, now we're at the climax and there's this great big thing. The crystalline entity comes down from the sky or whatever. And then when you buy that, you get to reroll 1 of your d20s. So with bold, you have to select a discipline. So you can choose either command, security, science, con, engineering, or medicine, and just do like bold / whatever.
Command.
Okay, so when you attempt a task with command and you buy more dice by adding to threat. So you're like, I'm making it a little more chancy, then you can reroll. So that's a pretty cool way to go. And now, after we've done your environment and upbringing, your little Betazoid is going to Starfleet Academy. So I would not suggest a random roll on this, because as a captain, you're going to have wanted to study the command track.
Right, yep.
So the command track is for those cadets who aspire to command their own starship. So you will gain a single value, which should reflect some aspect of the character's beliefs that developed during their time at the academy.
And everybody so far has gone the command track?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, our engineer went the operations track.
Okay, cool.
Obviously, because engineering.
Let's see. What is that under? It says Starfleet Academy. I'm looking at my character sheet. I'm trying to...
This is going to be, you're going to choose a value, so it's under values. And this is the short phrase that kind of determines what your time at the academy taught you.
Oh, so this isn't like okay.
No, this isn't a stat. This is like something you would leverage to either make things more difficult or less difficult for you. You could say, like, if you were in a situation where you were trying to command someone, you can use your value of whatever you learned in Starfleet Academy to like either make things easier for you, or maybe you had a hard time at the academy, so it would make things complicated. It's just like a short phrase. If you want some examples, example values: always prepared, always vigilant, precise to a fault, a theory for every situation, inexperienced and idealistic, threw out the handbook and wrote my own. Body and mind alike must be healthy. Emotion in a crisis only makes things worse. Proud and honest. A responsibility towards the truth. Insatiable curiosity. Those are some example values.
It's so hard to choose because it's so wide open.
Yeah, because you're just making shit up. But this is like, if you imagine, this is a Betazoid who grew up on this isolated colony in the middle of nowhere where they were rebelling against like the family or the society's artistic ideals. They kind of probably joined Starfleet or like did the Starfleet Academy entrance exam just to get away from that.
Okay, I got an idea.
Okay.
Help me refine this.
Okay.
But something about having confidence in making your own choices and not like letting others influence you, kind of a thing.
Okay, so chat, you can also help to like make this more succinct, a succinct phrase, but I think it's something along the lines of like your heart will always lead you in the right direction, or no one else can make decisions for you. Go
God
your
damn it.
own way.
Kane 20C just totally fucking stole the song out of my head that I was singing.
There you go. Just put go your own way.
Your own way.
That's a great value.
Well, it's like I'm thinking of a command situation where the person at the con or operations or something says like, well, we could do this or we could do this. What should we do, Captain?
Okay, so I'm gonna
tell them like,
I'm gonna spoiler alert
trust
a
your
little
gut or
bit
whatever.
because
Okay.
this actually goes pretty well with something that happened in PB's character creation. But she randomly rolled for her career events table, and one of the things that she got was she betrayed her ideals for a superior. So the character was placed in a situation where they had to choose between a trusted superior and their own ideals, and they chose to follow the superior. And she was thinking that this would be someone that is on this crew right now. So if your value is go your own way, and you gave a command that was against like what Starfleet told you to do,
mm-hmm.
and PB was like, Starfleet, but you're telling me to do this other thing. Like, that's a really good conflict that has already happened.
Yeah,
So,
I think I'm gonna just simplify it by saying go with your gut.
there you go. All right. So go with your gut is your value you learned from Starfleet Academy. And then you'll gain 3 attribute points. So they can either be split between 2 attributes. So that would mean you'd up one by 2 and another by 1.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can give 3 attributes plus 1 each. So you can pick whatever attributes you want: control, fitness, presence, daring, insight, or reason. And you have 3 points to split amongst them.
Okay. And attributes are different than disciplines.
Yes.
So attributes, let's see here. Oh, what would a good captain need? Control would be good. Daring also would be good.
Presence is really good for command.
Everything would be good. God damn, like everything.
Because if you remember, attributes wise, presence is the power of personality and the ability to command attention or respect. It's
Right.
used for being diplomatic during negotiations, giving orders during a crisis, and being charming or seductive.
Yep, let's do that. We'll do 2 in presence.
Okay.
Get that up to 10, and then 1 more in. Let's do 1 more in insight. Get that up to 10 as well.
Okay. And then for your disciplines, so you have to select either command or con as your character's major. So that was the subject they studied most intensely. And that would be increased by 2.
Command.
Okay, so command up to 4. And then you'll have 2 different minor subjects, which are increased by 1 each. So you can choose your minors, whichever you like. And this is what you studied in school. Yeah.
Yep. I'm sorry. What page are you on?
I'm on page 116.
There we go. Okay.
So this is disciplines. So you majored in command. You mostly studied the command discipline, but you also had 2 different minors.
Okay, so I can up 1 each of anything besides command. Okay,
Yes.
so let's up 1 in con,
Okay, so that's up to 2.
and then up. Let's do another 1 in medicine.
Okay, that's up to 3.
Yep.
And then you select 3 focuses, one of which should relate to your command major. So these focuses might include astronavigation, composure, diplomacy, extravehicular activity, evasive action, helm operations, inspiration, persuasion, small craft, which would be like flying shuttles, starship recognition, Starfleet protocols, team dynamics, which is great for captain.
Mm-hmm.
Khan is like flying the ship. Khan is
Yeah, Khan is like a pilot.
yeah.
Now these focuses are they specific, or are they like values where you like apply them to whatever?
Focuses are basically just taking the disciplines and breaking them into smaller bits. So your focus would be like your classes that you took. So as a command person, you might have taken a class in astronavigation.
Right. What I'm asking is,
You can choose.
can we make
Yes.
them up?
Yeah.
These are ones you can make up. Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if they were like set ones. Okay.
No, you can do like there's tons of focuses that you can do. Computers, cybernetics, quantum mechanics, warp field dynamics, xenobiology, hollow programming.
3 now.
Yes.
Okay.
This is what you studied in school.
Yep. Okay. Let's do diplomacy.
Okay, good to have. This definitely makes sense now.
Let's do composure.
Okay. Keep
And then
yourself
I'm
together.
gonna do one weird one. Let's do
There's a lot of example focuses in the previous section for upbringing. So like history, infectious diseases, navigation, toxicology, athletics, geology, linguistics,
got it.
metallurgy. Like there's tons of shit.
It's gonna be music.
Music. Okay, very cool. So you're like Picard, you got your flute or whatever.
Yeah, I got my little
or Data with the violin. All right, cool. So you had
or a bone for number 1.
You mean a trombone, not a
bone for me. That's what he says on the stage. He's like, and a bone for me.
Okay, so you go ahead and put those in focuses.
Yep, already done.
Okay, that just hasn't updated for me yet.
The reason why I chose music, in case you're wondering, is because that artistic and creative upbringing that I rebelled against, I still had to do like piano lessons or whatever.
And maybe once you got away from it, it was a little bit more like you got a little homesick.
Yeah, once it was my choice, then I kind of,
Okay, so you'll also gain a single talent. So this time we can do talents from the command list. So these are going to be on page 135.
Okay.
So command talents would be advisor, diffuse the tension, follow my lead, supervisor, and you can also choose a talent from the general list. And because like you have a high medicine score, I would allow you to do a talent from the medical talents list, but I think you'll be more it'll be more helpful to have a command one or a general. But yeah, you can take a look. Yes, okay. Zeke is a Betazoid.
Let's see. Follow my lead once per scene. When you succeeded a task during combat or another perilous situation, you may spend 1 determination. If you do, choose a single ally. The next task that ally attempts counts as having assistance from you. Okay. So that
would be basically giving them another die, and you don't have to take a second action.
Okay. Advisor is whenever you assist another character using your command discipline, the character being assisted may re-roll 1d20.
Mm-hmm.
Diffuse attention. Whenever you attempt a task to persuade someone not to resort to violence, you may add a bonus d20 to your dice pool. Okay. What does main character mean?
Oh, that just means like you can't do because there are also supporting characters in this game. If you're like the doctor or the chief engineer and you're being sent on an away mission and it doesn't make sense for your main character to be on that away mission, you can make what's called a supporting character, which is a lot simpler. It's a more and so that supporting character would not be able to get that talent.
Okay.
But we're not gonna probably do any supporting characters.
Follow my lead. It is.
Okay. So when you succeeded a task during combat or a perilous situation, you can spend 1 determination, which you'll have 1 to start, and you can gain more during the scene. And you can choose an ally, and they will get an extra d20. So that's pretty good. So go ahead and write that down under talents.
Yep.
And then next thing after Starfleet Academy is your career.
By the way, anybody who's anybody who's thinking of role playing or whatever, whenever you write something down in your character sheet, it helps to put if you don't
page
have like a
number.
search function, put a page number right by the thing so
Yeah,
you can easily look it up if you need to.
absolutely.
Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, the next thing is your career. So the choice here is either you're a young officer, which as a captain you would not be, you're an experienced officer, which is just general, or you're a veteran officer.
Okay,
So this is how many years you've been in service.
let's see here.
So the experienced officer, the character has several years of experience in service, and they're enjoying a promising career. This is the default assumption for characters created using these rules. Veteran officer have decades of experience in the service of Starfleet and have served on many ships and starbases. So far, we have one of each of young officer and veteran officer. As a captain, you could do either experienced or veteran, but it definitely it changes the perception of your character. How long you've been in the field.
You know, let's go with experienced.
Okay.
So I'm like maybe I'm like fresh to the helm.
Okay. So
Something like that.
as an experienced officer, you receive a value, and this can be chosen freely. And you also receive a talent, which can be chosen freely. Let's go ahead and do the talent first, because it'll probably be a little bit easier to pick. So the talents are what we were just looking at on page 135. And you can choose any from the general command, or like probably any of the lists, which I know makes it a little harder for you. But this is basically like in your time in the field, like what are things that you've learned or used?
Let's see here.
So we already have a character who's an engineer. So you probably don't need to do any of those unless you really think that your character would get in there and work that out. There's some good security talents. There's some good. Notice there is a requirement. So if you don't have medicine plus whatever, then you might not be able to do some of them.
That's exactly what I was looking at here.
You have medicine 3 and command 4. So the medicine and command ones you should be able to do most of.
Okay. Let's see here. I'm looking at the medical talents list here. When attempting a task involving unfamiliar medical procedure or which is to treat an unfamiliar species, ignoring difficulty increase stemming from your unfamiliarity.
So that would be like as a Betazoid, if you were trying to doctor like a human or a Vulcan, or I mean, you might be a little bit better at those. You could persuade me to say like, I've been in Starfleet for this long, I would know how to treat Starfleet people. But let's say you were trying to treat a Romulan or a Klingon or a Ferengi, who are people that you wouldn't be familiar with. Like, I would up the difficulty because you might not have experience with them, and also because you're not actually a doctor.
Right.
But that would be like, no, I'm good at this. So
you know what? Actually, let me take. I'm gonna do con.
Okay.
And do flyby.
All right.
It's a requirement is con of 2 or better, and I have a con of 2.
Okay. So whenever you
use the swift task momentum speed, you do not increase the difficulty of the second task if one of the tasks you attempt is to pilot a vessel or vehicle. So
okay, so basically that would be if you were trying to do multiple things at once. If you were like trying to navigate through a nebula and also evade a pursuit, this would allow you to not increase the difficulty because you're trying to do 2 things at once.
Sweet.
Okay, so go ahead and put flyby down, and then you also get a value. So this is a freely chosen value, but basically it's something that you've learned from actually being on the job, and you're probably you can choose like what your career path has been up to this point, but you haven't been in service for decades. You've been like in the service for like probably a decade, a few years, and you've gone from I think the general advance would be from some kind of like helm position. You would have been in command the whole time because that's what you studied. So like maybe some kind of helm position or like a background bridge position to like maybe first officer to captain, right?
Mhm.
So you something that illustrates this like career path for you. So you've already got go with your gut, which you learned in the academy, but maybe something that is a little more tempering because you're working within a command structure in the field, you know?
Mhm.
So maybe something that is like you don't always get to make the decision because this is before you are captain, right? Maybe something that's about teamwork, maybe
Well, I was
something.
thinking something about the chain of command.
Yeah.
Like something like
maybe
like respect the like respecting the chain of command is what keeps this machine moving or something like that. Like
okay, yeah, you can go ahead and write that down, and if you want to adjust it later, respect the chain of command keeps the starship
afloat.
flying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can always like go ahead and like just make it a little more succinct or more what you feel like. It won't like you can adjust these things before the show or during the show, like to be more what you and I both agree this value is supposed to reflect, right?
Order through fear.
Oh God.
I like that.
I mean, I think that Starfleet isn't quite that militaristic. That might be more of a Cardassian belief.
No, I know. I was just reading the chat. It's funny.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was too. And
Yeah.
as a
So the
Betazoid,
basic gist. Oh, sorry.
no, as a Betazoid, there's also the part of like you are open and honest and like, you know, you're not a deceptive person. So,
Does that conflict with trust your gut though? No, not necessarily. That because trust your gut doesn't necessarily mean go against orders or Starfleet.
yeah,
It's
you
if you're
could.
in an indecisive moment. Like, what does your gut say? Go with that. Like that kind of stuff. Maybe even if it doesn't seem like the most logical or proper choice, trust your gut and go with that. It doesn't mean like disobeying orders.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I really like in Star Trek, how there is that conflict between the militaristic society and the very clear command structure, and these characters who are like heroic and often very daring and reckless. Like there is that conflict that is present in a lot of Star Trek episodes, and I really like that tension because these are people who are daring risk takers, but they're also operating inside of a really strict command structure. And how does that, you know? Okay, so now we're doing career events. So this is my favorite part. The character's career is a tapestry of events and experiences, but among this, a few will have been pivotal moments in the character's life. A character defines which moments of their life are more important in retrospect, and what seemed definitive to an ensign may be inconsequential to that same officer decades later. So these are two events in your career thus far that have most impacted you. So there's 20 different career events. There's a table, so you could roll a d20 and just like randomly do it. Or if you had a really good idea, like there's some like ship destroyed, death of a friend, encounter with a truly alien being. There are some that you might be like, ooh, I really want this to have happened to my character. So the list is on page 120, and you can roll randomly. Or you can pick, or you can do both. You can roll and then be like, that doesn't really feel right to me.
Wow, what are you a GM or not?
I am. I'm just telling you that, like, if you have a good idea,
I can roll and then not take it, or you?
Yeah. Sometimes
Adam, are you hearing this?
Sometimes when you flip the coin, you realize that you didn't actually want that second thing in the first place, right?
Well, that's how I've made choices in the past. Like, grab a coin. You have two choices. Flip it. And then
while it's in the air, you know.
You'll know.
Well, and so that's what I'm saying. If you roll for it and you're like, you know what, that doesn't sound like my character, I'm totally fine with that.
Okay. No, I'm going to roll for it and stick with it. Let's see. Okay. 1d20, and it is 10.
Transporter accident.
Oh, God.
So the character suffered some manner of strange accident while using a transporter. So what happened to the character during this accident, and were there any lasting repercussions? I've seen so many Star Trek episodes.
I
with
know. God.
this. You were combined with Neelix and
I was just, you thought of the exact same episode I was thinking of.
Tuvix.
But there's that also that one with
Riker became two different people, and one of them was stuck in the cave, and the other one got back to the ship, and then 8 years later, there's two Rikers.
I was thinking of the one where my most hated character in all of TNG, Broccoli.
Barclay?
Like, yeah, saw ghosts in the transporter.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Now you're Barclay. How do you feel?
Yeah. Now. Oh, you're right. Now I want to switch. I don't want to do this no more.
I told you, and I'm totally fine with that. If this doesn't feel like something your character would do, but it's also like maybe this makes it so that you never want to go on transporters, which is like that's a challenge for me as a GM to tell you like, oh, the transporter is your best option here, but you have this thing about your character.
Let's see. Because it's tough to try. I'm trying to think of something like that hasn't been in an episode, and it's tough to like just come up with something like right on the spot.
I mean, it's also it's these questions are things you can just think about. I would say like what happened and were there any lasting repercussions? Like you might want to know if it's affected your character physically.
That's what I was wondering.
Or mentally.
Would it? I don't know how a transporter would like cause me to like lose a limb or something. Because I was thinking like I would have like a prosthetic leg or arm or something.
I think that the thing would probably be that it's definitely possible that a transporter like beam was interrupted or interfered with. They couldn't get a good lock on you, and like as a result, maybe part of your body like came through like incomplete. Like I know that's not really how like Star Trek transporters work. It's like they either get a lock or they don't.
You get hung up on the technobabble.
But you could definitely just like transporter phobia is definitely a thing that's happened to a lot of different characters in Star Trek. I've definitely remember like people who are like, nope, I'm going on a shuttle. Like part of you could have materialized before the rest of you. You might have accidentally materialized half in a wall, which is definitely something that like has been a thing. Like you could, if someone isn't really good at the transporter, you could materialize and half of you stuck in a wall. And so maybe.
Oh, how about this? Oh, I got an idea. So I was transporting down to a planet on an away mission, and instead of being stuck in a wall, they transported me, but I was transported into a void in a cavern system with no way out.
Okay, so they transported you into like a volcanic bubble where there wasn't actually another like.
Exactly.
So maybe you have a little claustrophobia because of this too.
And that's exactly what I was thinking too. Yeah.
Okay.
It caused me to have fear of enclosed spaces. Yeah.
Okay, so do you actually have any bad feelings about using transporters? Or is it just the like claustrophobia and fear of enclosed spaces?
I think that's the bigger fear is that I will be locked in a place and with no way out.
Okay. So your character is cautious and careful after their experiences, so you can increase your control by 1.
Okay.
And because of your discipline, this means your character takes shuttles more often than the transporter, increasing con by 1.
Okay.
And then you will gain a focus. So this focus should reflect something you learned either because of the accident or in the aftermath. So maybe you decided to learn more about how transporters worked. So your focus would be like transporters and replicators. Maybe you decided to learn more about how shuttlecraft works. So your focus would be small craft. Or maybe you decided to learn more about whatever interfered with the transporter systems. So like quantum mechanics or like subspace interference or ion storms. I don't know. This would be a focus. So like persuasion, diplomacy, composure, music, etc.
Transporters.
Okay, so transporters and replicators I think is 1 focus.
Okay.
And then you roll for your second event. Focus, spelunking.
Yeah.
That will be so useful.
Okay. And one more on the D20. Okay.
A 3. So 3 is lauded by another culture. So the character was involved in a mission that earned the official praise of a non-Federation culture. They're now considered a friend to that people. So we can go ahead and take a look at, I think that there is a little blurb about like important non-Federation cultures. Let me get to it. Oh, ships. Somewhere. It might be in the front. But like aliens and adversaries. Klingons, Ferengi, Cardassians, the Romulans. The Romulans and the Cardassians, I think, are very antagonistic. The Ferengi and the Klingons are kind of off and on. Vulcans are Federation, so that's not an option. These are non-Federation culture. So anyone specifically that you might remember from your experience with Star Trek that you might be like, ooh, I really want to have a good relationship with these people.
Yep, I think I got it.
Here we go.
By way of a little bit of a little added to my backstory. Betazoids, or Betazoid, excuse me, cannot read Ferengi.
Yep.
So I would love that they know that, and I still impress them with my insight and my diplomacy and my negotiating skills and that kind of shit. So they're like, well, I know you can't read my mind, but you impressed me with how you did this and that kind of stuff. So I would love that to be a Ferengi.
Okay, awesome. So what culture was aided? That would be the Ferengi. What was the mission and why was it particularly praiseworthy? I feel like if it's Ferengi, this is definitely something to do with trade negotiations. And
yes.
So like, what was it that you did that was particularly praiseworthy to these Ferengi?
I brokered a deal for a trade route that would guarantee them passage through I want to say like a militarized zone, something like that. Like they were allowed to trade.
This is actually like the time that we're setting this in. Okay. The wormhole by Bajor has been discovered, so maybe it's something to do with the Gamma Quadrant.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so you negotiated a treaty with the Ferengi and some species in the Gamma Quadrant to allow commerce, which was good for the Federation because Deep Space Nine is right there. So awesome. Does the character have any friends or contacts in that culture who can be contacted for help? This is something that we can make up on the fly, but I definitely think that there are some Ferengi who you could definitely call on to help you out. So your standing and renown increase your presence by 1. So now your presence is at 12.
Yep.
And your
no, it's at 11.
Oh, it's you just moved
already increased
okay.
It, yeah.
And the character's broader understanding of the universe and another culture increased your science by 1.
Okay.
And then you gain a focus, which should reflect your experience with that culture. So you could have a focus of. You already did it?
No, I already have. I have one in mind. Tell me if this is cool.
Okay.
Fierce negotiator.
Perfect. Yes. Okay. You may gain a trait, which should reflect this event. So an example of a trait might be friend to the Ferengi, or it could be like something else that would reflect. And traits go up by like Betazoid. So. Mm-hmm. It's just like, trait. It doesn't have very many good examples of a trait, but it's something that
maybe that's my trait then, the fierce negotiation.
Because a focus is like something you could learn in school. So negotiation would be like an actual focus. The trait it's recommending that it just be friend to the X culture.
Oh, that's fine. Then we can do that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Friendly with Ferengi.
Yeah. So with some people who don't like Ferengi, that could be really bad, and with some people that do, it could be good. So that's why it's a trait you can leverage that in different situations. So, lastly, Step 7 are finishing touches. You will receive one final value. This is the phrase, the thing you hate to do. It might reflect career events that you rolled in step 6, or it could represent another element of the character that you really want to have to like kind of round you out.
And let me say, I don't hate doing it. I just not having like a whole lot of time to think about it.
And like that's why I said like you could put something in there now, and if you change your mind, that's totally cool.
Sure.
It's just like it has to reflect like these specific situations for a lot of
Well,
them.
let's do a little crowdsourcing here. So what would, because this is my final value, right?
Yes.
You have 4 values. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So I am a Betazoid from an isolated colony. I rebelled against my artistic and creative upbringing. My traits are Betazoid and friendly with the Ferengi. My highest 2 scores and attributes are presence and insight. My disciplines highest are command and medicine. My values so far are home is where you make it, go with your gut, the chain of command keeps us afloat. My talents are telepath, bold, follow my lead, and flyby, which is flying, con stuff. Focuses diplomacy, composure, music, transporters and replicators, fierce negotiation.
And persuasion.
And I can't scroll up though. There we go. Oh, you just click the gear. Okay. So what do you think my value should be, guys?
Yeah. Chat. Help us out. Yeah, Jadzia was friendly with the Ferengi, but everyone still loved her. I think that Worf had a problem with it a little bit. He was like, how can you be friends with these people? Yep, I just finished Deep Space Nine. Yes, I did. The end was a little like, but it was okay. The Pirates.
Something about an iron will. There are always alternatives.
Dealing with medicine, maybe how lives are valuable. Rule of acquisitions, peace is 35. Peace is good for business. Rule of acquisition 36. War is good for business. What are you guys thinking? Chat, you're not helpful at all. You can definitely save this one if you want.
Oh, it's okay. I want I want to do it on that. Is that all right if we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Take your time.
Because I already tweeted out like I'm gonna be late because this is more important.
Oh, I'm so happy that you're so excited.
Oh, I'm really excited about this. I love role playing, obviously, and I love Star Trek. And a new game. There's always so much excitement in there.
Yeah, I definitely think the cast is going to work really well together too. So I'm excited.
You weren't paying attention to the traits. I'm Betazoid and I'm friendly with Ferengi. Diplomacy, composure, persuasion, music, transporters and replicators, fierce negotiation.
I think that like because you the last things that happened to your character that really stuck out to you was that transporter accident and the your experience with the Ferengi and doing those negotiations, right?
Well, I don't want to copy Kirk with the no-win situation thing, because the thing that came to mind after you rattled those off was there's always a way out, but that's...
Well, and I think that because the thing is that when you're building your character, like one, calling on aspects of Star Trek that are familiar to viewers is not copying. Okay, so you're totally allowed to take like bits and pieces from other people. You are a Betazoid, so just instinctively you're not going to be Kirk. That because a Betazoid is not going to be like Kirk. That's just,
right.
But like the two things in that these two events are the things that are affecting you, that are most present to you now when we start the game. As a character, if you were told to look back on your career in Starfleet and pick out two things that have affected you the most, it's these two things. So, like, being stuck in that, like, rock bubble and not being able to get out, like, maybe that is, like, there's always a way. Maybe that's a bullheadedness that you got, like, bashing your head against the walls trying to find something. Also, like, negotiating with a culture that is, like a lot of people really don't like the Ferengi, and like you found a way to get on common ground with them. So maybe it's like not allowing other people's like stereotypes or judgments to affect your judgment, sort of thing.
So I wrote down I think there's a probably more poetic way of saying it, but there's always a solution.
Yep. And that's great.
Yep.
Okay, so that's your last value. And then your attributes. You may not have any above 12, which you don't. And for once this has been done, you may then increase 2 attributes by 1 each. So you have 2 points. 2 attributes can increase by 1 each. It can be any of them, but none of them can be above 12.
Okay. Well, I would like to have at least 1 at 12. So we're going to increase presence by 1 to get it to 12.
Okay. And that's really great for a commander.
And then let's see. Trying to think of like what should I increase, because I want to increase either daring or reason to 9. I'm not sure.
I would say go with your gut. So that would be daring.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, you were saying I thought that
no,
was
I'm saying going on the values that you have as a character,
Okay.
you'd want to have that daring.
Okay, daring it is. So I have
daring would be
control of
9.
8, fitness of 9, presence of 12, daring of 9, insight of 10, and reason of 8.
Yep. And then your disciplines. So you may not have any discipline above 5. But once, like, obviously you're good with the disciplines, you can't have you can't have 2 disciplines at 5. You can only have 1. And you can increase 2 disciplines by 1 each. So you might want to increase your command, or you can, so you have command at 5, and then you can advance any of your other ones by 1.
Let's do medicine.
Okay, cool.
Isolated colony, we had to learn how to treat ourselves, and we had to make do with what we had. And if there wasn't a supply ship coming, then we had to figure out herbs around the wherever.
Well, and my favorite captain, Janeway, came from the sciences, so I'm totally done with that.
Janeway's your captain?
She's a lady. I was watching it as a young girl, and seeing a female captain, like, I just have a nostalgia. So I mean, I love Picard so much. But Janeway was a great example of a female in the lead that I will keep with me all the time. Okay, so final check.
Okay.
Add up all of your attributes, just your attributes, so control to reason. It should add up to 56.
20, 39, 48. Yep, 56.
Okay. Then your disciplines should add up to 16.
16, yep.
And then you should have 4 values, 4 talents, and 6 focuses. Yeah.
4 values, 4 talents, and 6 focuses. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Your stress is equal to your fitness attribute plus your security discipline. So that's 9 plus that's 10, which it does. You do have 10, so perfect. I love how the character sheet just does that automatically. And now, what is your name? So if we go, this gives some guidelines for Betazoid names. So Betazoid names tend to have at least 2 syllables and a melodic sound, with a personal name followed by a family name. Of these, the family name tends to have a harder sound. Betazoids are traditionally matriarchal, with children taking their mother's family name. And this would also be when you would choose whether your character was male identifying, female, non-binary, and what your pronouns are.
Okay.
So there's examples on page 125,
There
like
it is.
Deanna,
I went back to the Betazoid
Loxana,
page.
Eosa, Dalera, Konal, Devoni, Algar, Jensar, Kalos. Very, lots of vowels.
Let's do... I honestly was like, Cotel, or Colel, how could we change that?
Kal-El.
No, Cobell, like Adam Cobell.
Oh, God, no, you can't. I refuse.
My name will be Cobell Adam.
No. I'm laying down the law. I refuse. Adam linked a Betazoid
No,
generator.
that is not allowed.
Adam linked a Betazoid name generator if you want it. It's
Oh, you did? Oh, wow, cool. Okay,
yeah,
let
it's in
me
the
do that.
chat. Just scroll up a little bit.
Let me check that stuff.
A damn coal bell. No, yeah.
Oh, there we go. Get mail names. There we go.
I'm drawing the line, chat. I refuse.
I won't allow it.
As GM, you're not allowed to be named after my GM.
Okay. Well, I don't want it to be tough to pronounce. I want everybody.
Yeah, no, that's good too, to be able to make sure that like not everyone's be like, wait, what's your name again?
And also, I don't want a name that's easy for people to like totally make fun of, because
so you don't want to be named Waxana?
Well, I had a character someone I was playing with had a character, and his name was Doc Lafar, and we just called him Baklava, like all fucking hated it.
Okay, so remember also it has to go.
Men.
It has to go well with Captain.
Let's see, Captain
Raban Onavren. No, Onavaran Dulas. Captain Devoni Dutrax. Captain Nikhail Odutan. The Beast Raban.
The magic one will present itself, I'm sure.
Yeah. Chat, if you have suggestions, totally go for it. Captain McCaptain Face.
Captain McCaptain Face.
Captain Jensar Kader. Captain Atani Morganth. Morganeth. Atani Stoddy. Captain, I'm just reading from the Betazoid names.
Yeah, me too. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Captain Errol Rowe. That sounds more like a Bajoran name.
Yeah, the Rowe.
Yeah. Could be namesaked from an older captain. I'm not familiar with Betazoid captains. TBQH. Captain Rafael Martinez. Wait, wrong show. Hey! Farragut is definitely a human name. Captain Honar Slabine. Captain BC. You could just have your first name start with a B and your last name start with a C.
This is super important because this is what you'll be called like the whole time.
Having your boss be a telepath sounds like the worst. It does sound like the worst. But you know that his ship is going to be full of honest people, right? Right? Definitely no one on the ship is going to try and betray you.
No.
Oh, here we go. We got a memory alpha of important Betazoids. Lots of Troys. Lon Sudair, Aindris Hagan, Sabin Genestra, Tam El Brun.
Now, do Betazoids do the first name, last name? Like
it's first name, last name, yes.
Okay.
It's not the Bajoran reversal.
Okay.
Shannara Rajengo.
My name is Somas Dren.
Okay.
SOAMASDREN.
Okay.
Captain Dren.
Captain Dren. I like it. All right. And that's he, him pronouns? Sounds like?
Yes. Male. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you should have an idea of your appearance and personality. That can be something that you just like. The personality is basically just like, are you grumpy? Are you wise? Are you thoughtful? Calm? That's going to also be influenced by your Betazoid upbringing. Your character's values are a really good basis. So this is just something that, like, if I ask you to introduce your character, you can give a succinct, like, personality, appearance. And then as for relationships, like consider like, do you still have communication with the rest of your family? Do Betazoids have a family structure that's matriarchal? So you would have like specific family relationships. Are they still living? Do you talk to them? Like this is something that you should like know. And then of course, like we'll determine this once all the characters are created. But like, what are your relationships with the other characters? So I will make sure that you all have access to like give a little blurb about who each other are on the Twitter DM, just so you can have an idea of how you relate to each other. Because obviously, these are the people that you have been working with for some time. I'm not gonna have the newest person will be Holly's character because they're like straight out of the academy, right? But everyone else, like especially Pumpkinberry's character, I don't know about DJ's yet, obviously, but Pumpkinberry's character is someone who's been on your ship for a while. So that might be good for you guys to just be like, what is our relationship and etc.
Cool.
And then your rank and role. You are the captain. Captain Soamus Dren of the starship. I don't know yet. I have to figure out what, because it depends on if you have like a science focused person. You have a main engineer, so having a larger ship maybe in the cards. If you only had science people, I would have made it a science vessel, but so I'm still looking up which ship would be appropriate. But obviously you're going to put captain as your rank, and then here we go. The commanding officer may spend a point of determination to grant any other character they can communicate with 1 point of determination. So, like, that's your commanding officer thing that you get. And then you'll have some equipment. So you'll have a uniform. That's down at the bottom in equipment. Other equipment. You'll have a uniform. You'll have a communicator. You will have a tricorder. You will have a sidearm, a phaser type 2, because you're a senior officer. And then you probably won't have any tools because you're not an engineer or a science person. You might actually, because you've got like such a good medical thing, I would say that you probably have a, it would only be in other equipment except for your weapon, which there is a section for phasers and etc. So it's on the right side, other equipment. You can just put down uniform and etc. And that's on page 128. And then obviously your rank of captain, and that is your role as well as commanding officer. And I think that's it. You have finished your character. So if you want to go ahead and give us a nice succinct like name, species, upbringing, and environment, and then tell us your values, your focuses, and then give us that little blurb based on what we've learned about your character in character creation.
1 second, just writing down all of my equipment. Uniform, communicator, tricorder, phaser, and did I say medical tools I would get?
Yeah, I would say that you would get some medical tools.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right. So this is my character for Star Trek Adventures on Bluejay's channel. Look at how happy she is to be doing this.
I'm so happy.
Here we go. My name is Soamus Dren. I'm a Betazoid. I'm a captain. I come from an isolated colony. My upbringing was artistic and creative, but I rebelled against that for a life in the military. Traits are Betazoid and friendly with Ferengi. My attributes are control of 8, fitness of 9, presence of 12, daring of 9, insight of 10, and reason of 8. My disciplines are command of 5, security of 1, science of 2, con of 3, engineering 1, and medicine 4. My focuses are persuasion, diplomacy, composure, music, transporters and replicators, and fierce negotiation. My values are home is where you make it, go with your gut, The chain of command keeps us afloat, and there's always a solution. My talents include telepath, bold, follow my lead, and flyby.
Cool.
There you go.
Yay! So that is our captain, Captain Dren, and I'm so excited to get started with this game. As a little reminder to those in chat, this game will be starting on Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific this week, so very, very soon. And I am so looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Zeke, for doing this with us. This VOD will be available for everyone for Twitch subs in my Twitch VODs, and it's also available on my Patreon. It will be released after the game for general non-paying populace, but for everyone who wants to get a good look at it beforehand, it's available in those two places. Zeke, if you want to tell people where they can find you up until then and what they can find you doing.
You betcha. Pardon me. I had too much carbonation. Sorry. My name is Ezekiel III. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube, all at Ezekiel_III or /Ezekiel_III. I will be playing directly after this. I'll be picking up Warframe for the very first time and hopefully joining JP and Co. if they're still live. But either way, I'll be playing Warframe after this, and then tomorrow I will be playing Glempier. Trying to finish it up. And you can also catch me on Monday playing this game, and then Tuesday playing Dungeons and Dragons. So my days are getting full.
Awesome. Very, very cool. All right, guys, we will see you very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching the character creation, and have a good rest of your day watching Zeke play Warframe or me play World of Dungeons with the Atom over there. So I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much. Have a good day.